welcome back to my channel. Today we are working on a quick tutorial to put the Merry and Bright Christmas card together. As you can see, I have all my pieces already cut out, and I cut out a few extra of the ambersands, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So you may also see I have all my supplies. Hopefully I grabbed everything. Some scissors, maybe tweezers if you have it, whatever type of glue or adhesive that you have at your house, glue stick, fine tip bottles, tape runner. We also are going to need some foam. Now I have a couple different kinds here. I have the kind on the roll, which usually is cheaper, and you can get online at a craft supply store. You can also use pop dots. This gets a little bit more expensive because you use more of them for your project, but sometimes they can be a little bit easier to work with. So whatever you have or have access to is great. And then I wanted to show you for this particular project, my middle layer is cut out of a shiny gold cardstock. And this is the particular product I use. I'm not sure if this exact one is still available because I bought it a while ago, but it is approximately 80-pound shiny gold, and then it also has silver cardstock. You could use glitter paper. You could use even just yellow or some type of gold non-shiny cardstock. Whatever you have is fine. It can be silver. You can change the color palette around, but that's just what I am using today. So to get started, either cut out your card base from cardstock on hand, or you can use the file that I have linked below. And I didn't mention that earlier. If you came to this video through my Etsy link, you may have this file already. If you're finding the video first, then you can find this cut file in my Etsy shop, and I'll have that link below. Okay, so now back to our card base. This is a 5x7 card. There is a pattern for this 5x7 in the cut file, or you can just cut it yourself with a cutting like a manual cutting or scissors. Now for this part, we are going to pop dot the different layers so we get some dimension on our card. Now the first thing I want to do is actually adhere the first layer down. Now I am actually going to adhere this straight to the card base. You can pop it up if you like for extra dimension. If you are putting this in the mail, I might recommend adhering this flat and then popping these two layers up. If you're handing the card to someone, you can pop all three layers up. We just want to make sure it doesn't get too bulky that it increases the postage. So first off, I want to apply glue to all the edges because it's important we don't have any curling up. Do it on the inside as well. Here you can use, again, glue stick, tape runner. I do like a adhesive glue, a liquid glue, for a couple reasons. One, I think it's pretty durable for when it gets, you know, bounced around in the mail. I also think that it gives you extra time to move the layers around if you don't get it lined up the way you want. There we go. I got a little bit of glue there, but that's okay because it's going to be covered. Okay, so now the next portion, we are going to want to lift this up. So like I mentioned before, you can use pop dots or you can use rolls of adhesive. Now, I'm going to use the rolls because I think it gives a nice solid lift on all sides of the card. You want to cut it as close to the edge as you can without going over, and then also make sure that you don't have any of the adhesive or the foam sticking out the side. So that looks good. We are going to do that all the way around. And you may notice I have different widths of foam, and so this particular product came in a bundle with different thicknesses, which is really nice when you're doing different types of projects, because you might want different thicknesses. In a little bit, we are going to get to cutting this to get the thickness that we want. So now, when we adhere this onto this card, you're going to notice this part kind of falls down. It's not lifted up so much that it's totally noticeable right at this moment, but over time, when we get this on top, parts are going to sink down, and we don't want that to happen. So what we want to do is cut pieces, and then what I'm going to do, if I put this down, you're going to see some foam over the edges. So I'm going to cut it to a thinner size, and then I'm going to put it as, doesn't have to be all the way to the edge, but as close as I can make it without going over. Let's just double check. Looks good. And then we're going to do the same thing this way. If you have a thicker edge like I do, like I didn't cut that straight, but the thicker edge into the middle. And then let's do this. Again, it doesn't have to be exact sizing. We just want to get an approximation. And if we do this and we decide we want it a little longer, which I really don't think we need, but I'll just show for a quick example, you can just cut another small piece and another. So that's a little, that went over the side. I think I'm gonna leave that one off. We're gonna save our foam for the next step because we'll probably use it. Then the next thing, one tip that I'll have for you is don't take all your backing off on your foam off at the same time. In fact, what I'm going to do is take it off the top. Oops. That adhesive, that backing ripped, so I'll just take it off from the other side. There we go. And then what I want to do here, and the reason I'm doing this is because sometimes you can get your hands stuck on the sticky part and then it's hard to get it off. So I'm just taking the backing off and I'm rolling it down approximately halfway. We will take off the backing for the center. I think we can do all of the center pieces. I have many times taken all the backing off and then see, like right there, it got stuck. And then sometimes you try to pull it off and you get more stuck and more stuck. So this is a nice tip. So only certain parts are sticky at one time. That's a little small piece there. There we go. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, holding the backing, I'm going to line this up to the top of my card. Might get my head in the way a little bit. And then I'm just going to push that down. Yep, there we go, like that. Now what I can do is take the backing, pull it down, And then the bottom probably should have released it a little bit so I could have an easier time pulling it off. But it's okay, because since it's not stuck down, I can use my awl or any small kind of sharp object, pull the backing off. I need to get it with my finger, and there we go. We can push that down to make sure it is adhered, and already that is looking so beautiful. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is our top layer, and this is just a little bit trickier because of the cutout areas. So we are going to put foam along the side and then small little pieces, at different spots throughout the words. So let's get started on that one. Again, we try to go to the edge as best we can. And you might start to notice I'm using quite a bit of foam when I do it this way, which is why I like getting the rolls of foam, because it's more economical in the long run. Now, in hindsight, I would have liked to go a little closer to the edge. It's not a big deal, but I like to get as close to the edge so I don't have any curling up. Now, this is a great time to get back those small pieces that we did not use the last time. I will cut these as small as I can, and I will just periodically put them around. Not everything has to be adhered down. What I do want to do, actually it might be just a little bit too wide. Let's do that. Got that a little bit. We'll just want to use it all up. Now you notice I didn't do anything on the back of the E yet, and the reason for that is because I know some of it is going to be over the star, and I want to make sure that I put my foam on the part that I really want popped up. So this back part of the E will look good. Let's do that. Let's double check that. I'll do a little bit right there, and that should, oh, I've got a little bit right there. Maybe I'll just move that down a little bit. And then I'll put a little bit at the top. You don't have to put any on these far outsides because you'll have adhesive there. I keep saying adhesive, I mean foam that will be popping it up. Okay, so same thing down here. Let's just double check where our H is gonna go. I'm gonna put a little bit there and a little bit up here. What did I meant to do? See, that's why we test. I meant to put it down there. When you flip it over sometimes, yeah, see, that is touching the star, so I don't really need foam unless I want to put a very tiny bit at the very top. That should work. Yeah, okay, now let's just keep going. If you have some pop dots that are the same thickness as your roll of foam, you can do that, and then you don't have to cut it. But I don't find it very difficult to cut these. You'll also find later you do not need to take the backing off every single one of these. You can, but really we're just trying to pop it up, not necessarily adhere it. And where can this thin piece go? Gotta find where my sticky side is. Let's put that there. Let's do another test. I want a little bit of the R, or the V right there. I think what I'm going to do is cut out a bigger piece, make it narrow, and then I can cut some smaller pieces. That I think is easier. All right, we're getting close. Do another test. Actually, I think I'm going to put a little bit down here. The very bottom of that G gets kind of narrow. I'm not going to worry about it, but I do want something to balance that. Okay, I think that's probably going to be good. Alrighty, now we'll take off what we can. If we miss some, again, it's not a problem. The reason that we put these is mostly just to give some dimension and not necessarily to adhere it. Yep, that one, I got that one. Okay, I cut some of the video out because it was taking me a long time to get it backing off all these little pieces. But we are then going to do the same thing we did with the lower level. We are going to take the backing off the top. I did all these center areas. We're going to fold our backing down about halfway. Oops, and then what did I learn from the last time? Start to get this one a little bit started, but I don't want to take too much of it off because I don't want it to get stuck down right away. And try to line up your corners. Okay, pull your backing off. And then we have, going to press all of our edges down. Now you may notice, you may have been wondering, now wait a minute. This side has 2 layers of foam, while say this interior part only has 1 layer of foam. I wouldn't worry about it. It gets very challenging to lift up all of your pieces of foam to a double thickness amount. And so honestly, nobody is going to notice that this is 2 times lifted and this is 1 time lifted. So now the last piece that we have is the ampersand, which we are going to put right in the center. Okay, so now I have cut several of the ampersands. I do that for a couple reasons. One, anything that's small, I cut multiple times in case I lose a piece, but also these edges are very thin and it would be very difficult to get foam behind there. Now, the one option is to cut one ampersand and glue it straight down on the star. The other thing you can do is you can glue several of these shapes together to make it a little bit thicker. So it kind of gives the illusion of it being popped up without you having to line up foam. Make sure these are just really thin dots. You don't need a lot. See, already I put enough that it kind of squirted out the side. Usually 3 is plenty. I don't need that extra one. And then I will glue this to the center. And we now have a beautiful 3-dimensional Christmas card. Add a little bit of glue in there that we can give for the holidays. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll do everything I can to address any of your questions. I'll leave a link below to the cut file and also a link to an online craft store if you need to get any of these supplies. I hope you have a great crafting day and I hope you get around to making a card of your own. Talk to you later. Bye.